The mother of murdered teenager Brianna Ghey has come face to face with the family of one of her daughter's killers in an obviously emotional meeting, which she says has helped her grieve.
Now, since her daughter's death, Esther Ghey has made it her mission to tighten the rules around mobile phone safety for children and teens.
And Esther is with us now. Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you. Always a pleasure to see you. Always difficult, the circumstances that we're talking about here. For many people, and I know it's something you wanted, meeting members of the family of one of your daughter's killers would be unthinkable. It would be too much. Why was it something you wanted, and how did you approach it?
I think for me, it's something that I've wanted to do for a while. I saw how much the parents were affected in court, and I saw like how broken they were. And I think for me, I wanted to make sure that she knew that I didn't blame her, and I wanted to find out how it was for her as a family as well, and like if there were any difficulties, like as a parent, as I've struggled, and many other parents are struggling as well.
You saw yourselves as united mothers, in a sense.
Yeah, I think that basically we're both just two mothers that are trying to navigate something that's completely out of the ordinary and that no parent should have to deal with on either side. And I suppose we've both suffered, but I think that her suffering is continuing because her daughter's still there, but she's not with her, and she's in prison, and like that must be so difficult because you would be torn as a parent whether you've got that maternal instinct, but then also having to live with what your child's done.
How did she react?
It was a very emotional meeting, but it was positive, and I think that it was quite private and personal, but yeah, like I say, it was an emotional meeting.
Does it, in a way, give you some comfort as well? No one can even imagine what you must go through losing a child. And as you said at the time of the court, that Emma Sutton had lost a child as well. But does this, in a way, give you some comfort being able to meet the mother and sit down with her and share both of your feelings with?
Yeah, I suppose actually in a way it does, because it helps me to not hold on to any like harmful emotions like hate or resentment and any of that kind of stuff, because for me I know her, and I know she's just a normal woman, and she didn't commit the crime. She didn't do anything in order to like help what happened to Brianna. Yeah, and I suppose that in a way that kind of does give me peace, because she's just a normal woman who's also struggling.
It's incredible emotional strength to do that, though, and it must have been a gift for her to have you allow her to, experience her grief.
I think that she was really brave, really, to come forward and speak to me in the first place. Like, that must have took such courage. And yeah, like, I hope that it has provided her with some form of healing as well.
I'm sure it has, and you're going to be sort of seeing probably more of it because she's going to support your campaign as well, isn't she? So tell us about that.
So we discussed the Peace in Mind campaign and the campaign for mobile phone safety as well. And she said she supports both of the campaigns, and she agrees that something needs to change. Whether she'll be supporting on a public-facing basis or whether it will be something very private again, I think it will probably be the latter.
So you're keen, and it's people that we've talked to that have experienced the sort of injustice of the taking of a life of someone that they love in this way that you've had to go through. They're always talk about not blaming, not giving in to hate and anger as a strong thing to get them through. But you're channeling that sort of the strength of your passions into changing. So if you're avoiding blame, who do you hold responsible? Where does where should the focus be?
I suppose it's not a case of blaming anybody, really, and I don't want to sort of put that pressure on people, but I think that there is an issue in society now where children are struggling with the mental health, and I think there's a large number of children that are on the waiting list for CAMHS. When I saw that, I can't remember the exact figures, but when I did see it, I thought, what is actually causing that? What is the root cause? Now, Brianna struggled with her mental health, and during the pandemic, she was locked down and she was forced into this online world. And I do really feel that her being on her mobile phone impacted her mental health massively, and she was then accessing self-harm sites and eating disorder sites, which at the time I didn't know that she was doing, because I thought that mobile phones were safe. I didn't, and I do think that a lot of parents aren't aware of the dangers out there. So really, I would like to speak to tech companies and like mobile phone companies to see like what can we actually do to make mobile phones safer for children.
I just think it's really remarkable. Just listening to you now, what you've been through to taking up this action is incredible. To the extent that you've even met with the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. Tell us how that went and what you discussed with him.
Yes, so that was a very positive meeting as well, and he came into the meeting not just as the PM but as a parent as well. And I think that there is the acknowledgement that there are issues, and I think we're going to be having a longer meeting with Michelle Donelan, the Secretary of State for Technology, at some point. And I think that the main thing now is to just keep these communications open to see what we can do.
So interesting, you referred to a message that you got when you were during the court, and you talked to Rishi Sunak about that. Tell us about that, because I find that really amazing. And I think you get to the nub of the issue here, really, with that message. Tell us a bit about that.
So the message during the trial?
Yes.
Yes, so during the trial, I received a message on Facebook basically saying that Brianna's death was my fault and that I'm a failure as a parent. Because it was during the trial. I've received other messages and comments before, but I normally just block and delete and just ignore them. And I also have filters on Facebook, so certain things can't come through. But because the trial was on and I was seeing my liaison officer, I reported it to her. She tried to take it further, and the person that was investigating it tried to get this person's information, which was then rejected because of the privacy laws. So I think that it's like the Online Safety Act is a great step in the right direction, and I do think that it is beneficial, but it's a little bit ambiguous and also a little bit contradictory, and like who is going to actually come out better, the person whose privacy needs to be protected or the person who is the victim of...
Absolutely. Well, it gives them a protection, doesn't it?
Complex territory, isn't it?
Really
it's a complex territory which you feel we're all not fully equipped to deal with. And so is there a specific thing that you would like to ask of the companies that you know, in charge of social media sites and are developing the technology around it?
I think for social media companies, they need to work with Ofcom and make sure that they comply to everything that's in the Online Safety Act. And I would like to see mobile phone companies take more responsibility for children's welfare. If that's... The technology is out there, they can flag certain words, like concerning words, and that can flag up to the parents, and also to like restrict like the amount of time that children are online, because that impacts mental health. And I think for me, the next stage is to speak to mobile phone companies and just to see what is actually feasible and what can we do to protect children.
Esther, it's just quite remarkable. What you're doing in the honour of Brianna is just amazing. How are you coping, though? I mean, I know you're keeping yourself very busy doing all of this, and it is incredible. But how are you personally?
I have some bad days. I think it helps to focus on something so positive. Obviously, we miss Brianna, but it's for me, it's now to keep Brianna's memory alive and to keep that legacy going.
You know, I think lots of people at home are watching. I think we all have a bit of Brianna in our hearts at the moment, because we've read about the story, we know what she went through and what you're now going through and what you're doing. I think you're doing absolutely remarkable stuff, and you're very inspiring, Esther, and we just wish you well, and I hope you all the success with this.
I want to hug you. I want to hug you. I'll do it afterwards. If you've been affected by any of the issues that we've been discussing, you can find advice and support at itv.com/helplines. And you are doing so much for so many in her name.
Esther, thank you.